Tervitused kõik rallisõbrad, ütleme siit Service Pargist 6. käigu stuudiost täna viimast korda. Peale tänast 2 saadet veel, Roland.
Väsimus on
Teeme ära.
Ja ma räägin juba täna terve päev rääkinud, et sõita on lihtsam kui oodata ja jutustada. Väsimus on suur.
Aga kuna me veel päris päeva lõppseisu ette lugeda ei saa, sest viimane katse siin samas Raadi mõisapargis on keskmas, siis ütleme tere meie väga kaua oodatud külalisele Sander Pärnale.
Aplaus ja
tere kõigile.
Ei no, peaasi, et tulid.
Absoluutselt. Parem hilja kui üldse mitte või kuidas see oli?
Räägi, mis sa täna näinud oled, kus sa käinud oled?
Mina olen tegelenud siis sellel nädalavahetusel põhiliselt ralli vaatamisega, et täna ma olen käinud päris mitmel katsel, et Alaküla katsel, Mäeküla katsel, tähendab Alaküla katse on siis Otepää nimeline katse, Elva katsel, Kulbilohu rallikrossi rajal ja jah, nendes kohtades ongi täna käidud.
Kus kõige ägedam oli?
Kõige ägedam, kus juures tahan väita, et sportlikus mõttes olles ise nagu nii-öelda rallimees on ja vaatad ikkagi seda sõidu poolt ja trajektoori, siis kõige kihvtim oli tegelikult täiesti tavaline pealtvaatamisala Mäeküla katsel, mis siis oli Kääriku külale kõige lähim mahapööre. Et väga kihvt pealtvaatamisala oli, et oli ekraan kohe ilusti täiesti seal ala sees väga lähedal inimestele ja mahapööre ka väga lähedal, et väga huvitav koht oli.
Kuule, aga sa just ütlesid, et endise rallisõitjana, kas kui sa rajaares oled, siis jätkuvalt ikka nagu pilk on teel, et mida mehed teevad ja mida valesti teevad ja mida võiks paremini teha ka?
No, ikka natukene et ikka märkad selliseid pisidetaile ja asju seal.
Sest sa oled ju ikkagi kohalik mees, sa tead neid katseid kindlasti paremini kui paljud.
Jaa, just kus juures see Mäeküla katse, mida ma käisin siis vaatamas nii-öelda, siis see Kääriku katse siis nii-öelda, et ongi nii-öelda kodukatse mul, et maakodu on seal lähedal ja tean tegelikult neid üleüldse kõiki neid Rally Estonia radasid tegelikult päris hästi, välja arvatud neid Peipsi-äärseid katseid, et ei nii mõndagi nagu märkab sealt raja äärest ja selles suhtes on nagu päris huvitav on ka nagu kõrvalt vaadata, ainult et muidugi ütleme, et endise nii-öelda kahjuks endise rollimehena on nagu tegelikult tahaks ikkagi roolis olla, aga...
No, telepildi järgi ei saa väga sotti, palju seda rahvast on siis rohkem kui varasemalt või on ta lihtsalt laiali hajunud, kuidas sa ise koha peal olles hindad?
Mulle tundub, et on üsna mõistlik, et ei ole küll nagu väga probleemi minu arust mingite nagu väga suurte ummikutega, et jah, küll sinna Alaküla trampliinile siis nii-öelda, mis on siis ilmselt kõige populaarsem ja legendaarsem koht, et sinna sai endal mindud nagu siis seda VIP-teed pidi, kuhu nagu siis kust saab paremini ligi, aga jah,
õhuteed pidi?
Kuidas?
Õhuteed pidi?
Õhuteed on ka kasutatud jah, aga jah, et ei, ma arvan, et on üsna mõistlik on see ikkagi, et saab igale poole minna, et selles mõttes ikkagi see publik on pigem ikka ära hajunud.
Aga see aasta ju on võrreldes eelmise aastaga neid alasi selliseid kindlaid ei ole, et kui sa pileti ostad, siis vist võid käia kõikides alades või?
Ma nii kursis ei ole.
Vaata, varem eelmine aasta oli väga täpselt
teatud. Keegi ei ole pileti omanik?
Minu teada peaks küll nii olema, et kui sul on see tavapilet, siis sa lähed vaatad ikkagi ükskõik kuhu, kus kõikidesse nendesse tavaaladesse sa võid minna.
Ja, no ilmselt see juba annab selle tunde, et eelmine aasta olid kõik kindlatesse kohtadesse kokku pretsitud.
Sander, mil määral sa ise veel tänapäeval rallisõiduga seotud oled? Ma olen näinud mingeid pilte, kus sa oled kaardilugeja rollis, kas sa õpetad kedagi, kas sa ise osaled kuskil võistlustel?
Jaa, et minuga siis selline lugu, et kahjuks selle aasta oktoobris saab juba 6 aastat viimasest võistlusest endal siis nagu sõitjana ja viimasel siin 5-6 aastal siis iga aastaga üha enam olen siis hakanud teisi sõitjaid õpetama, juhendama ja nüüd viimasel ajal olen ka nagu võtnud ühe suuna veel juurde, et olen hakanud ka kaardilugemisega tegelema, et kaardilugejana kas on äkki 9 rallit juba koos selle viimase 5-6 aastaga.
Kus sa neid teinud oled?
Muidugi enamus nendest 9 rallist on tegelikult ohutusautona, aga võistlejana on nüüd ka 2 rallit kirjas, et viimati alles mõni nädal tagasi siis Lätis Liepaja rallil ja eelmine aasta Saaremaa rallil.
Ja tegelikult ju Türgiski käisid, jah?
Jaa, ja sai ka Türgis käidud siin 6 aega tagasi umbes, et Türgi meistrivõistluste etapil siis kaardilugejana, aga seal olime ka ohutusauto. Et...
On sul kindel sõitja ka kelle kõrval või siis lähetakse igale poole?
Ta on selline lohakas sõitja, kes rohkem pakub, sinna läheb.
et ei, ma olen siin teinud koostööd nagu erinevate sõitjatega ja kusjuures ka väga erinevate tasemete sõitjatega, et aga nüüd viimasel ajal selline värskem uudis siis jah, on see, et selle aasta kevadest siis on mul selline tõsisem koostööprojekt, ongi ühe Türgi 14-aastase poisiga.
Mis asja?
Et kes siis hakkas alles see aasta rallit sõitma ja tahabki nagu rallisõitjaks saada ja soovibki, et teda siis nagu õpetatakse ja samal ajal ka siis kaarti loetakse, et olen nagu sellise 2 ühes funktsiooni peal, et.
Aga mis selle tüübi taust siis on, et rikkad vanemad, ralli huvi?
Jah, et autospordis et kipub nii olema jah, et
midagi peab olema, et alustada.
Jah, just, et eriti, et alustada siis jah, et on tegemist pigem nagu sellise jõukamate inimestega ja hetkel sõidavad nagu oma võimaluste pealt ja kusjuures isa on ka rallisõitja, Türgis sõidab kohalikke meistrivõistlusi. Et jah.
Siuke murakate perekond rohkem.
Ja, võiks öelda küll, et Türgi murakad, just.
Aga on siis poisist talenti ka või?
Tundub küll, et on, jah.
Mis autoga te panete?
Sõidame Ford Fiesta R2-ga, siis esiveolisega. Ja noh, see põhimõtteliselt on siis nii-öelda endine siis junior WRC auto. Ja et jah, et poiss sõidab päris hästi oma vanuse kohta, et 14-aastase kohta ja olematu ralli varasema kogemuse kohta on ikkagi, julgen väita, et on päris kiiresti areneb ja niipea kui võimalik hakkame ka Eestis sõitma, et ja siis saame näha.
Rally Estonia mõne aasta pärast?
Jah, ei, juba järgmine aasta ilmselt. Et tegelikult ongi niimoodi, et lätlased nagu lubavad 14-aastaselt alates alustada sportralliga ja Eestis on 15-aastaselt.
Ja Lätis olete juba käinud?
Lätis nüüd ühel rallil oleme käinud, et ei olnud, kusjuures olime täitsa kahjuks katkestasime ralli viimasel katsel, aga enne katkestamist olime selles juunioride ehk R2 ehk siis esiveoliste klassis olime kas 4. positsioonil. Et seal olid eestlased ka kohal kõik või kas nüüd kõik, aga seal klassis oli Eesti poisse ka, jah.
Aga kuidas sa enda arengut kaardilugejana hindad?
Enda arengut kaardilugejana
läheb paremaks iga korraga?
Jaa, kindlasti. Et ei, kusjuures mulle täitsa nagu meeldib, et ilmselgelt muidugi sõitmine meeldib rohkem, aga ei, ma usun, mul tuleb täiesti, ütleme, kaardilugejana vähese kogemuse kohta mul tuleb, ma usun, täitsa tuleb. Nagu
sassi ei lähe, et ei kipu õpetama, kuidas rooli keerata, et suudad keskenduda legendile?
Ei lähe sassi, et sassi ei ole läinud, et küll võib-olla jah, et võib-olla nii-öelda napilt siis hiljaks hakanud jääma või selliseid asju on ikka juhtunud, aga ei, kusjuures ma pean tunnistama et tundub, et täitsa sobib see kaardilugemine ka, et tuleb aga harjutada ja kui ise roolis olla ei saa kahjuks, siis miks mitte kaardilugejana, et ma olen siin nagu vaatanud, mõelnud, proovinud igat pidi, et küll raja ääres olnud ja siis teisi õpetanud, juhendanud, et hea meelega seda juhendamise tööd teeks muidugi rohkem, aga millegipärast kahjuks tundub, et nagu, kuidas öelda, et kõikidel sõitjatel nagu polegi juhendajaid või treenereid või et selles mõttes see autoralli on nagu kuidagi teistmoodi spordiala, et kui mingisugune füüsiline spordiala, näiteks jooksmine või korvpall on ju, et kus on treenerid asjad kogu aeg juures on ju. Aga
vormelis tegelikult vormelisõidus on tavaline, et inimestel on sõidutreener ka.
Jah, et aga jah, et ja siis olengi nagu leidnud selle võtme, et kui tahan ise nagu asja sees rohkem olla, siis ega poolnaljaga öeldes, et vaatasingi, et jää muud üle, et tuleb kaardilugejaks hakata. Seda on ju kõigil vaja.
Ei, see on äge, et me teame, sul on suur ralli süda sees, et kihvt on näha, et sinusugused ikka autosse jäävad. Et me näeme sind ka edaspidi Eestis rallidel autos istumas.
ma usun küll jah ja., et esialgse plaani järgi küll.
Kuule, aga meil on seisud ka.
Räägime kõigepealt esimese asjana, Sander on siin, kohalik mees. Millal Lõuna-Eesti rallil sellistes oludes sõita on saanud? Kui niivõrd erinevates oludes, kuivkatse, täiesti märkkatse, pori sees, kuskil, kus ei saa üldse pidamist olema ja mina isiklikult ei ole sellist Lõuna-Eesti rallit sõitnud. On küll kohati olnud nagu vihma, 1-2 katset on libe ja edasi on jälle okei, et
ja pean tunnistama, et ka pealtvaatajana siin nendel täna eile, et ilm on väga muutlik olnud. Üks hetk sajab, teine hetk on päike. Pigem on tegemist olnud ju märjaralliga, on ju. Et kindlasti sellistes oludes on varem ka sõidetud, aga Rally Estoniat võib-olla isegi, jah, eelmine aasta vist olid üsna rasked olud, aga olud on rasked kindlasti. Et tee on märg, tee läheb katki, rööpasse auku. Kindlasti väga-väga keeruline sõitjatele.
Meil on nüüd tänase päeva lõppseis ka vähemalt WRC meeste arvestuses. No, võib vist öelda, et ralli sisuliselt lõppes täna pärastlõunal, sest peale seda ei ole ühtegi, ma ei tea, pöördelist või põrutavat sündmust juhtunudki, sest Kalle Rovanpera tiksub vaikselt eest ära. Elvin Evans küll on siin paar katsevõitu võtnud, aga Rovanpera edu Evansi ees on 29,1 sekundit ja Ott jääb maha Rovanperast minut 11,5 ja Evansist 42,4. Siin kõik mehed, võib-olla peale Katsuta ja Formeau 5.-6. kohal, kus vahe on 10 sekundit, sõidavad justkui ei kellegi maal ja kujutan ette, et tuleb siuke tüüpiline pühapäev, kus kellegi ei ole midagi püüda, midagi karta. Võetakse 4.-5. käiguga, et kardate seda sama koos minuga?
No ilmselt seal ju jah, ma ei tea, Formeau Katsuta vahe ei 10,9 sekundit, aga muid ühtegi teist paari seal ei ole. Aga ega kui vaatame Rovanpera juhtimist Evansi järgi 29 sekundit, ega ka ütleme seda vahet ei ole, kui Rovanperat ei oleks, selles oleks keegi teine. Ega Lõuna-Eesti teedel sellist aega tagasi sõita on ikka päris keeruline, poolt minutit tagasi sõita. Aga kui seal ees on veel Rovanpera, siis võib öelda, et pigem vist võimatu või?
No ideaalplaanis küll jah, et kui ikkagi kõigil on hoog peal ja kellelgi midagi juhtu, siis siinsetel nii-öelda kiiretel teedel ikkagi pool minutit on juba täitsa, noh kalender vast ei ole, aga jah, on ikka täitsa vahe. Et seda ikka puhta sõidu nii-öelda, kui kellelgi midagi juhtu, siis ikka annab tagasi sõita. Et.
No aga eilsel vihmasel päeval nägime ju vahesid 10-20 sekundit.
No need olud mängisid selle kätte lihtsalt.
Homme sajab.
Vaatame, mis homme tuleb. Nagu tegelikult saigi mainitud just enne, et ideaaltingimustes ei saa. Et ideaaltingimustes on Lõuna-Eesti teedel 30 sekundit ikka selline juba turvaline, et seal saad tulla omas tempos, aga olud võivad alati mängida sellist nalja kätte, et kõik võib hakata juhtuma.
Homsed katsed Tartu vald, Kanepi, Kambja, Sander, mida need katsed ennast kujutavad?
Oota, kusjuures ei olegi nüüd nii täpselt jõudnud veel süveneda, et homme, vabandust, mis katsed on täpsemalt?
Kanepi ja Kambja ja siis Tartu vald on siuke lühem 6 kilomeetrine katse.
Ja.
Kanepi on 16 ja Kambja on 15.
Noh, ma ise nüüd ei ole see aasta neid katseid läbi sõitnud, aga selles mõttes Kanepi katse kõlab sedamoodi, et tegemist on kindlasti väga tehnilise katsega. Kambja katse on see on vist pikem katse.
See on see power stage, mis lõpeb Leigo.
Ja võtavad Leigo, jah. Et tõsised katsed igal juhul, et väga korralik päev homme kindlasti. Aga see lühem katse, see on see power, ei.
See ei ole power stage.
Ei, see on see pikem raadikatse.
Ilmselt küll, jah.
Just. Et see pikem raadikatse, mis meil siin nii-öelda selja taga on, et see on siis nii-öelda see uus katse, mis siis eelmise...
Vist oli, et kohe hooldusalast välja ongi start. Olen kuulnud sükust asja.
Jah, kuskil siin samas lähedal, et eelmiseks aastaks see katse tehti, see on täiesti uus katse, et see on selline täiesti teistmoodi, et aga jah, see Kambja ja Kanepi katse, et need on ikkagi nii-öelda päris rallikatsed.
Suur kisa tuli eelmine aasta selle katse peale ju, mäletate ikka, kellelegi see ei meeldi.
See oli power stage vist, jah?
Ja, et see raadi pikem katse, et noh, muidugi korraldajad kiites siis väga kihvt ja tore, et ehitatakse selliseid uusi huvitavaid on ju teistsuguseid lõike, et lõpuks tee on kõigil üks on ju, et ole mees ja sõida on ju, et igasuguse tee peal peab sõitma, aga jah, et natukene võib-olla jah, nagu sõitja vaatevinklist, et noh, ma pole ise seda katset sõitnud, aga noh, nii palju kui ülekandest eelmine aasta nähtud, et siis jah, selline väga ebatavaline katse, et selles mõttes on võib-olla sõitjad ilmselt väga ei naudi seda, ma eeldan, aga jah, et samas jällegi ka üsna keeruline katse paistis.
Mis sa ütled Ott Tänaku tegemiste kohta, et me oleme harjunud, et Ott Tänak dikteerib siin tempot, mitte Elvin Evans ja Kalle Rovanpera, aga me ei saa vist loota, et selle Hyundai'ga, noh, selle aasta Hyundai'ga siin mingit imet hakkaks juhtuma, et kohutavalt ebaõnne, auto on nagu ta on, et kahju.
Kahju muidugi, et neid tehnilisi ebaõnnesid on üsna palju olnud Otil selle Hyundai'ga ja selles suhtes on nagu kurb natukene, aga noh, mis teha, et see on tehnikasport ja jah, et praegu on ka vahe on ikkagi minut ja 11 sekundit on ju esimesega ehk Rovanperaga, et see on ikkagi juba päris suur vahe, aga noh, loodame parimat, et selles mõttes, et mina alati rõhutan seda ja omast pikast sõitjakogemusest, et ralli pole ennem läbi, kui on päriselt läbi, on ju, et kui on viimase kiiruskatse finiš või isegi kui on nii-öelda ametlik finiš veel, et kui oled küll poodiumi tulnud, on ju, ja kinnisesse parkiautoga ära sõitnud, et
tihtipeale juhtub ka peale poodiumit ülesõitu veel asja, kui auto kontrolli läheb.
Just, et rallis võib nagu kõike juhtuda, et tuleb kellelegi rehvi purunemine, juhtub kellelgi teisel midagi autoga, sõidab keegi välja sealt eestpoolt kogemata või mis iganes põhjusel, et või ma ei tea, et toome veel väga sükse erilise näite, et poodiumi pealt näiteks, või ma ei tea, ei lähe kellelegi auto käima näiteks enam ja jõu õigel ajal ajakontrollpunkti, igasugu asju võib juhtuda.
Hübriidi punane tuli.
Ja võt, kas või.
Kuule, poodiumi peal, Karl Kruda kunagi sõitis stardipoodiumi pealt maha ja katkestas või? Oli kunagi või?
Jah, oli küll vist niimoodi jah, et kui ma eksi, oli Saksamaa MM-ralliga tegu, aastat ei mäleta täpselt, aga jah, et poodiumi, hästi kitsas poodium oli seal vist, see poodiumi pealt maha sõitmine siis üle rambi, et kas ta läks nagu sellest rambist nagu mööda, see oli koos pööramisega see. Ja siis vist auto kukkus mingisuguse öötsoova peale või midagi sellist, et ja läkski öötsoova varras või mingisugune, mis iganes asi läks kätki. Et.
Mis su enda kõige absurdsem katkestamine on?
Ei tulegi kohe meelde niimoodi. No, tehnilisel põhjusel kindlasti olen ka katkestanud, aga jah, avariisid on olnud ja niimoodi praegu ei tulegi nagu meelde, et igasugu variante on ka minul olnud enam-vähem, jah.
Okei, mis plaanid homme?
Minul?
Jah.
Mina lähen pealt vaatama ja hoian Otile pöialt ja kõikidele teistele sõitjatele ka ja loodame, et tuleb ilus rallipäev, et rahvas on ikkagi endiselt raja ääres, ilm on ilus, loodame, kuigi ilmateadet vaatanud pole, ilmselt tuleb vihma. et ei, loodame parimat muidugi, et jah. Just.
Kuidas selle vihmaga on vaadata, ega selle puuvarju ei lähe ju?
Vihmavarju.
Vihmavari peab kaasas olema.
On nagu tee väga mudane, ilma kummikuteta peale pole mõtet minnagi.
Ei, nii hull ei ole. Et tegelikult jah, vihma on küll tulnud, aga ei ole nagu mingi mudaralliga veel otseselt tegu ei ole, ma ütleks, et ka pealtvaatajana, et nii sõitjana kui pealtvaatajana, ma arvan, nähes neid teid ja ka ise siis raja ääres olles, et päris otseselt veel kummikulugu ei ole.
Aga meie hakkame nüüd vaatama ühte huvitavat intervjuud. Meil käisid siin külas David Evans ja Colin Clark. Oled oodatud ka seda intervjuud kuulama jääma, kui sul just kiire ei ole?
Jah, sobib.
Kuulame selle intervjuu ära ja siis ütleme veel tänased lõpusõnad ka.
Spordile lisab hoogu Unibet TV, kus saad aastas tasuta vaadata ligemale 100 000 võistlust otseülekandena. Unibet, mängijatelt mängijatele.
Suur hea meel on stuudios võõrustada mehi, kes Eesti rallifännidele tutvustamist ei vaja. David Evans and Colin Clark, welcome.
Thank
Roland will start.
First of all, guys, it's super weird to do this interview with you, especially with you, Colin. Like it's been vice versa before, like in the stagehands, you have been interviewing me, but so yeah, I try to give my best.
Can I say that I'd forgotten about that? Remind me where that was and when that was.
I don't remember. I think Wales.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That was a long time
How
ago.
can you forget?
How can I forget? You know what?
You've been in Dirtfish for so long time now.
Do you know what? If you put a balaclava on and a helmet on, I would remember. I don't recognise people unless they've got balaclavas
with
and helmets.
the right car and with the right livery.
With the right name on the side of it, that's always a giveaway.
But let's talk a little bit about you. Like you're the most honest media guys in WRC. I think all the fans love the honesty. Have you ever received some negative feedback from teams or drivers or?
How long have you got? Yeah, we do. It's fair to say we do get a lot of feedback, you know, and some of it is negative. And not naming names, but you know, we have stories right now with Hyundai. We all know Hyundai Motorsport is struggling, and we have to offer an honest appraisal of where they are. It's what we do. And, you know, to give credibility to the website, of course, we're going to report on the highs and the successes, but to give that credibility, we also have to reflect on the fact that sometimes they struggle. And right now they are struggling. And it doesn't go down well everywhere. Of course it doesn't. And, you know, I mean, Colin has been very, very honest about, we've both been honest about Craig Breen. He struggled, you know. And
But listen, what we always, you know, we don't set out to be a PR service. That's the last thing we want to be. There are plenty of people around the service park who will offer PR services, and that is not what we do. And it's not what the fans want to see. It's not what they want to hear. It's not what they want to read. You've hit the nail on the head. They want honest reporting. And there is only one world-class journalist in rallying. And it's not me. It's David Evans. It is David Evans, and he is. And we're very lucky. We are very, very lucky because, you know, it's the nature of the type of sport. You know, we're not a massive sport. We're not Formula One. You know, and we don't have so many proper journalists in the sport. You know, we have people that are part PR, part journalists. But in terms of outright journalists who think and behave and have the integrity of proper journalists, there aren't many, and David's one of them. We're very lucky.
I'm lost for words. He's never been this nice to me ever before. But you know,
I'm always nice to you. I'm always nice to you.
He's sometimes nice to me. But you know, before Dirtfish, I was at Autosport for 20 years, and you know, there is no room for any kind of PR speak in Autosport. It's all about results-driven reporting and absolute brutal honesty across the board. And for 20 years to come from there to here, it was an absolute joy because, you know, at Autosport there wasn't so much space to write about rallying, and now we've got a whole cyberspace worth of room to write about rallying, and it's great.
And we love it. We love it because before Dirtfish, actually, everything was like too nice. Everyone was, oh, you crashed or you made some mistake, but that's okay. Next rally you will be better. But actually, it's not like good all the time. So
it's not.
We need honesty.
We do, and you know, I think it's only very fair to mention that, you know, it's not just Colin and I. The guy who owns Dirtfish, Steve Rimmer, is just the biggest rally fan in the whole world, and there's a whole team both in Seattle, obviously at the rally school, which is fundamentally Dirtfish is a rally school, and there's also in the UK and around Europe we have an enormously strong field of journalists who are working with us, and they provide great content as well.
Yeah. You chose to sponsor Ott Tänak, who is most difficult to interview. Why?
When we started this project, it was something that Steve Rimmer and I talked about, and it evolved really quickly from a first conversation in September 19 to actually launching in January 2020. And it was actually a conversation I had with Marco Martin. Marco and I have been great friends for all of his career. Obviously, I can't come on Estonian media and not talk about Michael Park as well. You know, one of our best friends, Beef. It was, you know, an absolute tragedy what happened, and so Marco and I have been great friends for a long time. And we were just talking. As soon as I started to talk to Steve about Dirtfish, I talked to Marco. I talked to Marco about pretty much everything in the sport that we do, and he said, well, what about Ott? You know, why don't you think about sponsoring him? And I telephoned Steve, our boss, and Steve is so unbelievably humble. He said, but Ott's the reigning world rally champion. Do you think, would he actually accept to have Dirtfish on his crash helmet? And it was just that kind of deal, and it was great, and we did it really quickly. And I think, you know, we got on well with Ott. You know, and I think part of that, it comes because we come with the seal of approval from Marco. You know, we spent a long time with Marco, and Oit is accepting. You know, I've known Oit from the start of his career, and I get unbelievably frustrated because people don't understand Oit. They don't know Oit, but Oit doesn't let people really know the real one.
That's exactly it, and it's, for me, you know, I was a big golf fan when I was younger, and you know, the British Open is at St Andrews this weekend, and I remember going there when I was 14 years old to collect autographs, and I got every single autograph on the official programme, apart from Seve Ballesteros, who at the time was 100% focused, and he wasn't there to sign autographs. He wasn't there to be nice to fans, to the media. He was there to win the tournament, which is exactly what he did. Seve Ballesteros was the nicest man in golf, but at the time, you know, people didn't think that way. And it's the same with Oit. Oit, when he comes to a rally, when he's on event, which is, let's face it, probably 95% of the time he's talking to media is on event, he has one objective, and that is to give his all to the event. And you know, he scares me at times. I've been around 15 years doing this job, and last night I went, David, there's the microphone, you speak to Oit. You know, sometimes he gives you that look and you go, oh no, here we go. But I get it. I totally get it. And as David said, you know, you see him away from a rally, you speak to him away from a rally, and he is just the nicest chap.
And you've got to be respectful of him.
Yes.
You know, some of our favourite drivers to ever work with, you know, the likes of Colin McRae and Carlos Sainz, Richard Burns, these people, you know, we're working, and what we always have to remember is that we're working at an elite level, you know, the very top of rallying. And if you can't bring, you know, Andrea Adamo, last 2 years, if you can't bring an elite level question to this sport, then don't come. You know, don't insult the best drivers in the world with asking, how's your day?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, a driver's crashed out. How do you feel? I mean, what do you expect? What kind of response do you expect? And it was the great thing about Adamo, it's the great thing about Oit, is you know, as a journalist, as an interviewer, they keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. It's a challenge. It's an enjoyable challenge. It's a frightening challenge at times. But, you know, we have to respect the fact that a rally service park is a really nice place to work. It's probably one of the nicest in terms of motorsport. You know, the F1 paddock is vicious, I'm told, really vicious for media. It's nice to work here, but we should never take it for granted, you know, and we should always, as you say, do our best to respect the fact that these guys are world champions. They're the very best in the world at what they do, so we have to come with a bit of respect and a bit of an A game.
Absolutely.
Have you ever met a rally driver who is such a rock star in his own country? I mean, in Belgium, Thierry Neuville is not a rock star.
No.
Seb Ogier in France, not a rock star.
Sebastian Loeb, when we went to Alsace for the first year, so they moved the French round of the championship from Corsica to where Sebastian Loeb was from. That was huge.
Hagenau, Town Hall.
Yeah, I remember talking to Olivier Canal about this, and we walked out at the Citroën motorhome, and all of these fans were everywhere, and Olivier said he is no longer a rock star, he is now a mega star, and Loeb was huge. But I have to say, when we see what we saw on Thursday night, that was bigger. Nothing.
Goosebumps still. Yeah.
Exactly that. I think the only driver that I could think that would probably rival that is Colin McRae. He was massive, you know, he transcended the sport in many ways, and he perhaps had a global appeal, which he absolutely has. But I think the thing with Estonia is it's such a rally-focused country, isn't it? It's why every year we love coming here. It is, you know, I'm not just saying this, it's one of our favourites. You know, here, Finland, New Zealand, they are just fantastic places, just lovely people, and a great place that absolutely understands the sport. Yeah. And you know, you walk around places and you can see people get it, and it means so much.
And it is one of those eternal frustrations with rallying, the fact that, you know, we know how brilliant the sport is, and we go to a lot of places where it's not so obvious. You know, even rounds of the World Rally Championship where there's hardly anyone there, you don't have the atmosphere, you don't feel that buzz. You come here and you think, yeah, the Estonians get it. They get it big time. And it's always, you know, when you see that, it's reaffirming, isn't it? When you see and you feel that atmosphere, and you think, yeah, we're not wrong. This sport has massive potential, is a massively engaging sport.
And the fact that Oit still lives here. You know, it
Yeah.
means so much because so many drivers, you know, they move away to Monaco or to Switzerland or wherever, but Oit remains very firmly an Estonian, and it's tremendous.
And by the way, we have Teemu Suninen and Kalle Roompere living
You
in
certainly do.
Tallinn.
Estonia
You
is
are the
place
new
to be.
Monaco.
When you think of Rally Estonia or Estonia in general, what are the first pictures that come into your mind? You look at the calendar, oh, July is Estonia.
For me, it would always be the kind of iconic shot of the car jumping through the fields of wheat or whatever. But I have to say, after last year, it was just, I don't do well in the heat. I'm not, I'm British. I'm not built for the sunshine. And
I like the heat. Don't blame it on the British. You are particular.
But last year it was a bit of a struggle. It was very warm.
But it wasn't just the warmth. It was the beasties, the mosquitoes in the forest, getting out the car, and it was like squadrons of mosquitoes just attacking you. It was.
But that's not what we think of straight away.
No, it is what I think of. We were driving the stages last year just to have a look before the rally, and we didn't realise that there was this issue with all of these killer beasts that you have out there. And David was in the back of the car. I was in the car, and we'd stopped, and our cameraman had got out. So the car was stopped. He'd left the door open. 2 mosquitoes that were that big. I swear to God, they were that big. Came in the car. So.
I think that was a bird.
But we were stopped. So I jumped out the car and ran off, thinking that the car was stopped. But it was one of those start-stops. So when I jumped out, it started going down the stage. No one driving it. David sitting in the back with his laptop, and me chasing it down the stage, going, "Come back!" That's my memory.
Yeah, but for me, you know, as well. The one thing that we always do, we talked about Beef already, you know, the memorial to Beef in Tallinn.
The other day.
We always go and just say hello again, and that's a big part. You know, I was really lucky to be invited by Marco to compete in the kart race when we unveiled that incredible the
monument. What would you call a monument? Memorial.
Memorial.
You're the wordsmith, Smith, not me.
And from that moment forward, you know, I've just loved coming back here. It's an amazing country.
Not only Beef's monument, but also Joey Dunlop.
Yes.
Close to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's got a kind of a sad history, but also, you know, it's a place to absolutely rejoice in the sport.
Urmo Aava is saying that his principle is to organize world's best rally. Is it? In terms of organizing?
That's a big call. That's a really big call because there's so much that goes into making the world's best rally. And how would you judge it? It's a subjective call, isn't it? Is it the world's best stages? Is it the biggest crowds? Is it the best organized media center? I don't know. But fair play to him. If that's what he said, you know, it's a great objective to set. I don't think it's the world's best rally yet. I think it's a very, very good rally. I think you have to have a lot of kind of rally that's only in its 3rd year. Be the world's best rally, his history, his heritage, part of being the world's best rally. I think it probably is. But it's a great rally. And just to give you a quick example of how well they organise this rally, we've been out on the stages for the last day and a half, and to me, it looks like there are less people out on the stages. So I spoke to one of the organisers this morning. I said, "What's happened to the crowds?" And he went, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Look, there's no one around. There's no one in the stages." And he said, "No, we've sold more tickets this year than we sold last year." They realised there were issues last year with the crowds getting around, so they've organised things to disperse the crowds more. They're still out there. There's still tens of thousands of fans, but in terms of the movement, there are no traffic jams, there's no snarl-ups, there's no hold-ups, because they've looked at it and they've worked out a way of moving the fans around the rally better. So there are more people out there, but, you know, without the hassle that normally comes with big crowds.
Absolutely. I think it is, like Cole said, you know, it's a very difficult call to make, but what you can say is that certainly this bunch of organisers have to rank among the best in the world, because one thing that really demonstrated that is 2 years ago we came here after months of no rallying. You know, there was nothing because of COVID. The promoter and the FAA took a huge gamble in coming here with with a whole bunch of regulations now about how to deal with COVID, how to, you know, wearing these things and where you can go and what you can do. to actually come to an event that was making its debut in WRC really demonstrated
It
the
wasn't
faith.
making its debut. Didn't they parachute it in at the last minute? I don't even think it was on the calendar, was it? Was it on the calendar that year?
It wasn't. So
It wasn't on the calendar. They put it together in a matter of months.
They had few months, yeah.
Yeah,
it
and
was
that for me was a demonstration of what Irmo Ava and what as importantly, people like Yanis from the ASN, what they can do. This is but we've always said this about Estonia. It's about a nation that just gets out there, gets on with it, and just does stuff. And if you look for the world's best rally, you look for an atmosphere on the stages. You've got that. You look for a big, a great city to host it that's got an incredible ceremonial start. It's got that. Great roads. I think I sort of struggled for quite a long time. The only thing I struggled with was this concept of building jumps. There is a DNA to this rally, and it doesn't need to pretend to be Finland. It needed to because it was the warm-up rally for Finland, but now it doesn't. You've got your own roads, and they're amazing. So that was the only one thing that I wasn't really keen on. But talking to Irma, talking to the drivers, the jumps are becoming much more natural this year in the way that the top's been planed off them and stuff. So you're right, Colin, that you can't call this the world's best rally yet, but it's certainly
It's got all the credentials needed. It's got all the credentials needed to get there. They're doing all the right things. There's so many people behind this rally, and that's so important as well.
Yeah, and finally, I think Ott won't win this year, but we must appreciate that we are witnessing history making. Kalle, how many world titles in this boy?
I think no less than 20.
He's so young.
Well, he could be world champion by the time he's 21. Before he's 21, that would be quite phenomenal. There is no one even close to him right now. 21. While he's 21. While he's 21. Sorry, 21-year-old world champion. You're absolutely right. He's 21 already, before his 22nd birthday. Yeah. We're witnessing something very, very special, and we've had 10 years of Loeb dominating, 10 years of Ogier dominating. It's not a great thing to have drivers dominating, but we have to appreciate what we've got while we've got it, because he is very, very special indeed.
I think as well, the thing that makes him even more special and makes him almost a groundbreaking driver is that for so long our sports relied on experience. You know that you need to drive stages year on year to build that experience, to understand. And he's kind of bypassed all of that. Okay, he's been driving since he was 5 or 6 years old, whatever. But using technology like WRC All Live, he's just done incredible things that we've never seen before, and he's bypassed that need for experience. And it is quite frightening, to be honest, to think of what he can do, and just to see a level of maturity in a 21-year-old driver. We saw in the last stage last night that the rain was going to get heavier, it was going to get worse. He knew that he had this option, this moment that he could seize and drive really hard. Go back and watch the onboards. Everything was on the limit in that stage because
he saw
knew
the opportunity.
He could get past Elvin, and that's exactly what he did. And just the ability now to get ahead and then to just control an event is. One more thing. Sorry, I've interrupted you again.
I'm used to it. I'm really very used to it.
So I spoke to when I spoke to Harry. I spoke to Harry a lot. I've known Harry many years. But when Kalle was 17 and just starting out, I said to Harry, I don't know Kalle very well. What's he like? He said, he's in his 30s already. And that's exactly what he's like, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's such a mature guy for such a young fella. Sorry, Cole.
No, I can't add to that.
You can't, can you?
Can't really,
But guys, one last question from me as well. One of my favorite drivers struggling, you mentioned him, Greg Breen. Is it his final season in top level, or what do you think?
Ooh.
Now you're being unkind.
No, something is going on there, and I'm not sure what it is. I'm really not sure. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We're far from seeing the best of Craig Breen.
Absolutely.
He's in a car that is very, very capable of winning, and some would argue is maybe the most capable car in the championship. And he's just not putting it together, and I don't know why.
Contractually, no, because obviously he has a deal with M Sport Ford for next year, so he will be there on paper. But nobody will be hurting more than Craig right now. And he's been through genuine tragedy. As a driver, he knows how to dig deep and come back from this. And we have to trust and believes that he will. It's it's the hill is getting steeper, like that one that you climbed.
That was a mountain, not
that was
a hill.
a mountain.
Thank you.
But only he himself can get there. But going to Finland now with that
that's
extra
right.
pressure.
Only he can turn things around.
Yeah.
I think he's got everything. He's got a great co-driver. He's got a great team. He's got the support of the most experienced man in rallying, Malcolm Wilson. It's up to Craig to turn things around.
Yeah.
Okay, it was fantastic time to see you here.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
having
inviting us. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And have a nice Rally Estonia.
And you.
Enjoy.
Thank
We're
you.
off back to stages. Thank you.
Tagasi otsestuudios. No kõlama jäi mulle kõige rohkem see, et Rally Estonia ei vaja rallikurude arvates tehislikke hüppeid, sest meil on endal niigi imelised teed. Olete nõus?
Täiesti nõus. Ma tean, et Urmo on tahtnud teha rallit väga palju kihvtimaks ja kõik, et ja ongi mingis mõttes kihvtim. Aga okei, ma ei ole ise sõitnud sõitjana veel neid, kahjuks neid katseid on ju, et aga läbi olen ikka neid katseid vahest sõitnud huvi pärast ja tõesti tunduvad päris suured hüpped.
Nagu suusahüppetorni läheks sealt. Ma olen nüüd sõitnud tegelikult 2 korda kindlasti neid hüppeid. Suht valusad on kohati ja autost hakkab ka kohati kahju, eriti kui ei sõida ralli üks autoga, et need madalama klassi autod ilmselgelt natuke nõrgemad ja põrutavad ka natuke rohkem. Aga tegelikult ju nagu nad mainisid ka seal, et eks need hüpped said ehitatud sellepärast, et vaja oli rallit, kuhu sõitjad tuleksid, et Soomeks valmistuda. Täna enam see ei ole nii, et täna on Rally Estonia ja Soome ralli on Soome ralli. Aga tegelikult ka Urmo, ma arvan, esimese aasta lõpus, kui need hüpped olid, juba mainis, et need said võib-olla natuke suured, aga et iga aastaga need nüüd lähevad väiksemaks ja sõidetakse ära ja neid ju lükatakse teed korda ja ilmselt jälle iga aastaga lükatakse hüpped ka väiksemaks tahes tahtmata. Keegi neid ilmselt maha võtma ei hakka, aga ilmselt ka neid suuremaks enam ei ehitata.
Räägime teistest klassides ka. Meil on nüüd päris palju autosid finišisse jõudnud. Junior WRC-s Robert Virves on tänast päeva ikkagi domineerinud ja võttis siis 16. katsel Joona Laurilt 3. koha tagasi ja jääb teisest kohast peale 17. katset maha 13,6 ja esikohast, mida hoiab Sami Pajari 47 sekundi kaugusel.
Kusjuures eilne päev lõppes Pajari ja Virvese vahel 1.34, minut 34 ja tänaseks on, mis sa ütlesid?
33 sekundit.
Tummine päev. Aga kuigi Pajaril olid mingid probleemid ka vist peale 14 katset äkki, kui ma peast õigesti mäletan.
Kas 40 sekundit on püütav veel viimase 6 katsega?
No kõik on võimalik.
Eriti kui me võtame junior WRC või? Et kui seal on nagu eriti kõik võimalik.
Kusjuures just, et võib-olla et või mitte võib-olla, vaid tähendab et mida nagu allapoole me selles mõttes nagu klassi mõttes, taseme mõttes läheme, siis tegelikult seda rohkem üllatus üldjuhul võib nagu tekkida ja ka sõitjate mingis kiiruses ja tempo erinevuses, et tegelikult siin et Virves on 47 sekundit liidrist maas oma klassis, et selles puhta sõiduga, kui ütleme, Pajari on ju ka väga kiire poiss.
Puhta sõiduga ei võtta ära.
Puhta sõiduga ilmselt mitte, aga et jällegi, et natukene keegi teeb mingi spinni või väike slow puncture ja võib täiesti vabalt seal järel olla.
Ma olen Soome rallil superralliga tulnud junior WRC 3. Et kõike võib juhtuda.
WRC 2 siis Andres Mikkelsen rallivõidu poole teel, aga Teemu Sunninen kõigest 10,6 sekundi kaugusel. Homses ülekandes midagi on nagu vaadata ka veel?
Ja ei midagi jääb ikka vaadata. Selles mõttes kogu ralli peal igas klassis ikkagi vähemalt üks paar jääb mida jälgida, et loomulikult siin allpool on natuke rohkem jälgida. Siin ju junior WRC-s tegelikult, kui veel korraks mainida, seda on ju Lauri Joona ka tegelikult Virvese taga, et ega Virveski peab tegema ikka väga puhas sõit, et ta ei saa lubada mitte ühtegi viga sisse, et tagant on kohe mehed lähedal ja ongi ju WRC 2 sama lugu tegelikult, et me võime vaadata küll, et vahed on suured, aga 17 sekundit on ju 17 sekundit seal, need vahed on tegelikult selles mõttes niivõrd väiksed, et puhas päev peab olema.
Aga selge, homme esimene saade 6.30 teeme vast rekordi või?
Jah, No, proovime kohale jõuda.
Ärkamise rekord või?
Ärkamise rekord 6. käigul ja 6.48 siit samast esimene katse on algamas. Äratuskellad valmis ja magame välja.
Homseni.
Homseni.
Head rallit!